Big Play Cleveland Show presented by FanDuel. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil, Nick Padone. Big shout out to our producer, Ryan Smith. As always, we're coming off a positive weekend. It's a Victory Monday as of shooting this show, and McNeil's got the bright orange on. How was everybody's weekend? It's had to have ended on a high note.
You know, last week, Grant Delpit was out there talking about having lost that winning feeling. He didn't remember what it felt like. Boy, this was a weekend just filled with winning from the Buckeyes on Saturday, just taking it to Wisconsin up there in Wisconsin at Madison. And then also our Browns, Nick, looked pretty darn good on Sunday, beating, admittedly, a very bad Miami Dolphins team. But still, it's good for us to get a big victory, get in the right direction with 1 week going into the bye here.
Yeah, it feels really nice. And, they were so desperate for a win. Everything was so loud. Everything was so amplified throughout the entire week with, Stefanski and the pressure growing on him and potentially a fractured relationship with him and Andrew Berry and who really did the Joe Flacco thing. Man, was everything really loud going into this game. They were able to silence it for 1 week. We could all take a collective deep breath because they were able to get the job done. They were able to beat up a really bad Miami Dolphins team. So it's nice to remember what winning feels like for Grant Delpit, and I'm sure for a lot of guys in that locker room.
I think it was important that it was dominance, too. If this was a close one, it just would have been a totally different feeling than what we saw out there. We'll get into it. Judkins and all the high notes from this weekend. We're going to get into our Cleveland sports headlines brought to you by Fairway Ford.
Fairway Ford offers complete customization for any vehicle on the lot with their Fairway Black Label line. This series features custom upgrades like premium wheel and tire packages, a wide variety of level or lift kits, performance enhancements, and fully customized interior options. And every Fairway Black Label truck comes with a Rhino spray and bed liner. Whether you're looking for an aggressive off-road stance, a bold street presence, or a one-of-a-kind build, Fairway Black Label delivers. As a bonus, many of these upgrades can be financed for as little as 0% APR depending upon the vehicle line. You dream it, they can build it. Visit fairwayfordohio.com to explore their current Black Label inventory or give them a call to start designing yours today.
All right, gang, Browns 31, Dolphins 6. Were you pleased with the strategy here? Lots of running. Quinshon Judkins had himself a day, 3 touchdowns, 84 yards, 25 carries from him. And really, the game was never in doubt after the first quarter. Just so many positive decisions made. What did you take away from that?
I'll tell you what, I'd take us to the very beginning of that game. We've got bad weather elements out there. This is a classic Cleveland game. Got a lot of wind, rain, kind of nasty out there. You knew Kevin Stefanski was going to hopefully come with a game plan that was going to be able to combat that. And he decided on the opening kickoff to take the kickoff, which is something typically you wouldn't do. We got the ball, immediately went 3 and out, 3 running plays. What happened after that, Nick? We stuck with the run. And that eventually paid off. You see Judkins having a nice day, having a big home run later on in the ball game, but we essentially stuck with that run. He added in a couple of different wrinkles with Judkins out of the Wildcat. We saw that. So I thought that was a nice game plan by Kevin Stefanski. It didn't look pretty on paper, but it ended up looking nice in real time to see us get a nice victory.
It took an act of God. It took Mother Nature to help Kevin Stefanski identify what we've all been pounding the table for years and years and years, and that's, hey, you've got an identity here on the lakefront. You've got a culture here in Cleveland, and it's all built on running the football. And when you run the good football and you stay with it, things happen. I know that offensive line is so bad, and if you take out the home runs that Quinshon Judkins hit, it actually was a terrible day running the football because of how bad that offensive line is. But that's why you got to stick with it. When you got a dynamic runner like Quinshon, he can break one loose. So it was really nice that they were able to finally get to what works. That's going to be the recipe as long as Dylan Gabriel's the quarterback, guys. Dylan Gabriel, tremendously limited with what he can do with his arm. You're going to have to continue to run the ball as long as he's the guy under center.
On the flip side, how bad is Miami? That is a bad organization. They had more penalty yards than they did rushing yards yesterday. They had over 100 yards in penalties. We talk about on this show all the time how undisciplined the Cleveland Browns are. boy, we were outclassed by Miami yesterday. They were way more undisciplined. The beginning of that ball game, our offense was predicated on them making mistakes and penalty yardage there for a while until we got it going. Miami's got a real dumpster fire down there, and it's kind of nice for 1 week to be able to say, at least we aren't them.
Yeah, dude, like 7 first quarter penalties for the Dolphins, and that was Cleveland's entire offense. Like, we're here to celebrate a Browns win. We don't get to do this very often. That Browns offense is still dreadful. Like, the Browns offense is still, make no bones about it, 0-17 bad. It's that bad. The team is able to be the best of the worst of the NFL because of their defense. This is still one of the worst teams in the league when we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. But they're able to be the best of the worst because the defense is quite literally the best in football. If they had even a bad offense, this would potentially be a wild card team. But the offense is so unwatchable. It's going to take a lot of help from opponents. Like, when you play the Jets, you're gonna need them to be as bad as the Jets are for you to have a chance in this game, because offensively the Browns just can't do anything.
Let's talk about the defense. They did have a season best performance with only allowing the 6 points from Miami, which was ironically also the season low for the Dolphins. 4 sacks from the defense. Let's look up some of these other stats here. Defense, 4 sacks and 4 takeaways. Oh, the interception by Campbell. That was sick. The pick 6. What'd you think of that guy? He's the newest Browns member.
Newest Browns member, came over from Jacksonville in the Greg Newsome trade there last week, 2 weeks ago now. He's been on the field for us. Makes a huge interception. That was completely, I'll tell you what, that gutted Miami. When he made that interception, that was a huge play. That was a turning point in that ball game, really at a crucial juncture, and it was a nice play. Nice to see him. Greg Newsome was a very popular player, I think, in the locker room for those players on defense, and it's nice to have somebody come in, make a play like that, really earn some respect in that locker room, I think, along the way.
Yeah, because while he was popular, he wasn't very good. So, you saw him do something that Greg never did during his time in Cleveland, and that's, take away a football, score some points, make an explosive play. When we're talking about this defense, and I know we talked about him a little bit in the open, Grant Delpit's having his best season in Cleveland.
Great day,
the fact that Jim Schwartz decided to deploy him and Denzel Ward with some blitzes, and you hear on the broadcast that Myles Garrett went to Jim Schwartz and said, hey, we've got to just scheme some stuff up. We got to dial up some pressure because we're not getting it organically the way that we thought. Defensively, they played a perfect game. You can't ask anything more out of that defense, especially against a really bad Miami offense. So then you're back to looking at the offensive side of the ball, and you're saying, well, guys, you got to figure it out. You got to carry your weight. They were able to yesterday because the Dolphins are really bad, and you were able to run the Wildcat and set football back a couple decades, but that's not going to work against a good team like New England.
Well, the one common denominator between the offense and the defense are the rookies, right? Carson Schwarzenegger, he led the team in tackles. He was the leader on that defense. And then on the offensive side, you saw Quinshon Judkins obviously leading us in rushing. And then we saw from the tight end position, Harold Fannin, he led us in receiving yards. And then, of course, you got Dylan Gabriel as our quarterback. So you see 4 rookies there leading us in 4 different categories right now. So as we look to the future, it's really going to be the youth movement here in Cleveland.
Yeah, Mason Graham batted a ball, threw it right back into his face. This rookie class, is this rookie class the best rookie class the Browns have had since coming back in '99?
It's a fairly low bar, right? I mean, it really is. Let's be honest, especially here recently. But yeah, I mean, they're looking really good. The only thing that causes me some pause is that we're forcing these guys to be in these positions. There's a reason these guys are starting right now. We don't have a quarterback. We traded Nick Chubb. We're looking for the next tight end. We're looking for some help on defense. So we're giving them the opportunities. To their credit, they're showing up. So I hope this growth continues.
It's been cool. I think if the Raiders called me for Ashton Genty, Quinshon Judkins clean swap, I'd hang up. If the Patriots called me for Travion Henderson, he's been on a milk carton. He hasn't done anything for Quinshon, I'd hang up. They definitely found a couple of hits in this draft. I agree with you. I think that the opportunity has allowed that to be true really fast. And now you've got to continue to plug depth behind these guys because we know injuries happen in football and there might not be a world where you're able to lean on Quinshon Judkins for 3 touchdowns and you might need a wide wide receiver. I know that might sound crazy because Jamari Thrash was your leading wide receiver on Sunday with one catch for 25 yards. That's your leading receiver. So eventually you might need a little bit more out of some different positions. But again, for one day, for 6 days, really, we could celebrate this win and not worry about all that.
And the fact that we finally surpassed that 20 points, Nick.
Yeah,
first time 31 points
like
since
I said,
December 24.
It quite literally took an act of God. It took like how many interceptions and defensive takeaways? I think 21 of the 31 points came off of turnovers and takeaways. So that just goes to show that the defense is doing their part. The offense for one day was able to be complimentary. You got to be able to build off that now.
Well, we got to give Schmidt his flowers too, because he was perfect on the day. 1 for 1 on the field goal attempt and 4 for 4 on the extra point tries. That's something we would maybe historically take for granted. He is coming in the clutch for us.
So he kicked at Syracuse. Syracuse is one of about a dozen Division I teams that play in a dome.
Yeah.
So he had said going into this game he had never kicked in even the rain at any level or the snow. So it was cool that he was able to come through in a couple big spots, and it maybe shows a little bit of the leg strength from never kicking in the elements quite literally ever to being able to kick in those elements. Like, all right, maybe we found something here.
Big confidence booster for him. We're going to thank our friends once again at Fairway Ford. You can head down to their dealership or visit them at fairwayfordohio.com. You'll be glad you did. We're going to take a break and be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Lake Spur Marketing, connecting your brand to the right customers. Visit lakespurmarketing.com today.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's time for our Garage Beer featured interview. Garage Beer is the perfect beer for any occasion. It's small batch, no frills, no bitterness. It's just beer that tastes like beer. The garage is always open with Garage Beer. And now we welcome our very special guest in studio. We've got from Fear the Sword and now Cavs on SI, Tony Pesta. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to be back talking some Cavs basketball with the season coming up this week.
Yeah, just your initial impressions of the Cavs so far, because I know you and I, we've been crossing paths a lot at some of the preseason games and such. What do you think about this team? Are we better than last year?
I hope so. I mean, I think the moves they made around the margins this offseason were clearly focused on the playoffs. And last year was such a surprise. I mean, it's really crazy when you think about where this team was last year entering the season and just how quickly our expectations changed when they started 15-0, went on to win 64 games. This is really the first year where we're coming into the season expecting to compete for a championship. And I think from, anytime you talk to the players, the coaches, everyone seems to be on one mindset. We're going for it all this year, and I think just the way that they've locked in through the offseason, training together, and what we've seen in the preseason, it looks like they're ready to actually go out and be a more mature, focused team that I think has a chance to win it all.
Now, Kenny Atkinson talked about not changing the entire blueprint for this season, but tweaks. One of the things I think we saw is just even leaning more on Evan Mobley to rely on his versatility, ball handling in transition and such, and being at that small forward position. What are your thoughts on him so far? We're going to see much more of him, but
yeah, I mean, Evan Mobley's the key to everything. He has been since we drafted him. We all know what he can do defensively. One of the best defensive players in the world. Obviously, he won Defensive Player of the Year last year, but as Kenny Atkinson has been mentioning, we do need to get him the ball more often. I think we learned that lesson the hard way against Indiana when offense was really hard to find and it felt like Evan Mobley was almost frozen out of the offense at times. That can't happen moving forward. And I think Evan, from everyone talking about him, seems like he's matured. He's ready to make another big leap. He already improved a lot last year, but the key is going to be how much offense can he create for himself. We know that he can finish plays if he gets the ball around the rim, but can you give Evan Mobley the ball and just have him go create something? And I think that's going to be the goal this year. And that's specifically what Kenny is mentioning with the offense. It's like, we don't want to get completely away from this ball movement, this almost Warriors-esque stuff that they did last year. But we do need to find a way to make Evan Mobley become the guy. And I do think, with credit to Donovan Mitchell, he's such a gifted scorer that I don't think Evan Mobley is ever going to lead this team in scoring. But it has to get to a point where on any given night, can the game be decided by Evan Mobley offensively? Because, again, we know what he does defensively, but there's going to have to be times where Evan Mobley steps up, and I think he's ready for that challenge, and clearly everyone around the team is getting him ready for it as well.
So big new addition. Feels like kind of all eyeballs on Lonzo Ball. You lose Okoro, you lose Ty Jerome, and you could maybe replace both of those guys with one guy in Lonzo. Again, that feels like a move that was made with the postseason in mind, but what should fans be expecting from Lonzo Ball this season?
Yeah, I was completely just so excited about Lonzo Ball after that last preseason game. I knew what he was capable of. I knew he could do a little bit of everything on the court, but I don't remember the box score off the top of my head, but it was like 9 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, something like that. He was just doing everything. And so that's what you can expect from Lonzo Ball. The dude really is just a winner, and he hasn't had much of an opportunity to compete at the highest level in the NBA yet. He hasn't even been to the playoffs, I believe. And that's partly due to being on bad teams, partly because of getting injured. This is the first summer that he's had in a minute where he's been healthy. He hasn't had any new setbacks. He's ready. Yeah, knock on wood. That's the big key with Lonzo. As always, you got to get it out of the way. As long as he's healthy, he can impact the game in a bunch of different ways. And that's why they went after him in replace of both Okoro and Ty Jerome, in all honesty. And even if you go back and think of Karis LeVert, the big difference that Lonzo Ball brings this team is that his baseline is a lot higher than those guys because he doesn't need to score the ball to impact the game. Yeah, he can defend, he'll rebound, he'll create plays for others. Ty Jerome, love him, hope he succeeds in Memphis. If he wasn't scoring the ball, the rest of his game started to fall apart. And we saw that against Indiana with Lonzo Ball. Even if he isn't scoring the ball, which I wouldn't expect too much of that, right? Like, it's never been his game. You just see that he makes everyone around him better. He's a basketball genius. Like, he throws the ball to people who don't even realize they're open. And so that's going to be the most fun thing to watch. He had a heat check without scoring the ball in that preseason game. He threw like 6 assists in a row. It was one of the most fun playmaking games I've ever seen. And so that's what I would be excited for if Lonzo Ball is just, even if he's not scoring the ball, he is going to help this team in so many different ways. And if he ever does get the 3-point shot going, because he can be a streaky scorer, then that'll be a lot of fun too.
We also added a young rookie guard in Tyrese Proctor. He had a pretty good preseason and impressed a lot of people. What were your evaluations of him, and what do you expect to see out of him this season?
Yeah, I was really happy to see Tyrese Proctor in preseason because in Summer League, I was kind of a mixed bag. I was very surprised by how much more comfortable and confident he looked in preseason. You don't usually see that from a rookie to make like a leap from Summer League to preseason. But for a guy joining a 64-win team, there could be some hesitancy, right? Like trying to figure out your role. I don't think you're going to get that with Tyrese Proctor. He looks so comfortable and confident in himself. He's just going to go out there and play his game. And what that is he's a 6'5", 6'6" guard. Plays really good point of attack defense. He's going to be a really good team defender in the NBA. Of course, he's a young guard, so there could be some, bumps and warts there throughout the process. But offensively, his game is going to translate right away because he can shoot the hell out of the ball. He's got more on-ball abilities than I thought in Summer League. I was a little bit worried because I was like, okay, seems like he's having some difficulty turning the corner against Summer League level defenders. I wonder what that'll look like against NBA defenders. It actually looked better for some reason. So I think because he's going to be on a team where the focus is not going to be entirely on him, which is something he has history with in Duke, I think he's going to excel as a role player who just kind of fills the gaps, acts kind of as a glue guy in the backcourt. I don't expect him to play a bunch of minutes this year because, again, he's a young guard on a team that's trying to win a championship, but whenever the Cavs do ask him to fill in, I think he's more than capable. And so I think this is a really great find for them at 49th, I believe, in the draft. This was a great pickup.
A young guy that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that it seems like might get that little bit of action that we hadn't seen last year is Jalen Tyson, the rookie draft pick from a year ago. Just because the Cavs were dealing with Garland's injury and Strus's injury early in the season, maybe a little bit more Jalen Tyson opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, someone's going to have to step up, right? With no Darius, no Max Strus, and obviously, like we mentioned, Ty Jerome isn't here either. And Jalen Tyson's going to be one of those guys who gets an opportunity. I thought what was really interesting in the preseason and the way Kenny Atkinson talked about this is that it seems like they're really challenging him defensively and almost taking a page out of what Indiana did last year with the full court ball pressure, really getting into ball handlers. I think Tyson might have fouled out that last preseason game. He had a bunch of fouls because he's super physical, super handsy defender. But I honestly love it because when's the last time we had someone in Cleveland who we were like worried about fouling out and being that physical on defense? And so I know with Tyson entering the NBA, he was more of an offensive prospect. it's weird how it's almost flipped around to where now I'm like, okay, the off-ball catch and shoot stuff I'm a little worried about, but the defense I'm really excited about. And I know that he can do some stuff when he has the ball in his hands. How much will he be able to do that when he's sharing the floor with Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley? We'll have to wait and see, but I love the way that this young prospect has bought into the defensive challenge. And if he's able to do that, and his offense starts to polish at some point, maybe not this season, but just long-term, then that's another really good pickup for the Cavs.
How about the return of Larry Nance, a face that's very familiar here in Cleveland? Larry Nance coming back to us. What's he going to provide this season?
He's another guy who can do a little bit of everything, right? Except he's, 6'8", 6'9"? Like, he's a much bigger dude, huge wingspan, still pretty athletic, can still get up there. I'm really excited to see what Larry's going to look like in the second units, running those dribble handoffs, setting screens. He might be the best screen setter out of Mobley and Allen, like just having another physical guy that can come in, run the dribble handoffs. He's a bit of a playmaking big, too. He's nothing insane, but just someone who can handle the ball a little bit, create plays for others. He can space the floor a little bit as well. He's going to do a lot of things for the Cavs that are going to help raise their floor because they haven't had a backup big like this in a while. And I think what it also does is a trickle-down effect to where DeAndre Hunter isn't going to be as overexerted having to play backup big. Mobley and Allen are going to get an actual breather. And Dean Wade, who I really like, is not the only backup big option on the team anymore, right? Dean can kind of settle into being the occasional backup four. Maybe he plays some three. It's just, he's not as important as he used to be because Larry's going to fill a lot of those gaps. And so I love the Larry, I love the Larry Nance addition. And obviously he's a huge Cleveland guy. So, that's always a plus.
What do you think about Sam Merrill and where he fits in all of this, especially coming off of that nice contract?
Yeah, I think, Sam, when you have shooters like this who kind of come out of nowhere in the NBA, come out of the G League, this is what I believe his third full season with the Cavs, if I'm remembering correctly. You just get more confident and comfortable in your role. Last year was a bit of a whirlwind for Sam. It was kind of his first year after the breakout year where he's an actual rotational player. Now I think he's going to settle in a little bit. Obviously, they're going to need him because, as we've already said, no Darius, no Strus to start the year. There's a three-point gap there. There's a three-point void in this lineup, and Sam, we know, can shoot the ball. And so I think that's what we're going to see. He's going to go out there. He's going to get shots up. That's one thing that Sam has always been great at is being a volume shooter. But he's also talked about being more multifaceted this year. And so we saw it in the preseason. It was only one play, but it got me excited because he did attack a closeout and then shoot a floater, which someone could look it up. I don't know if Sam Merrill's ever shot a floater in the NBA. And so that was exciting to see.
His little Mo Williams.
Exactly. And I don't expect that to be like a recurring thing where Sam Merrill's just killing teams with the floater. But if he's able to put the ball on the floor a little bit, and he's someone who, he's not a ball stopper. He's always been a very quick decision maker. If he gets the ball within half a second, he's either passing, dribbling, or shooting. If he can do that and become feel more emboldened to dribble and pass, then that's just another guy who's going to grease the wheels of this Cavs team, their offense. And he just fits in perfectly with whatever lineup you throw him in.
Tony Pesta, we appreciate you coming in. You can catch his work on Cavs on SI. Also, Fear the Sword. You also have a podcast. What was it? Junkyard?
The Junkyard Pod.
The Junkyard Pod. You've got all the things cooking. Thanks so much for coming in studio. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Garage Beer. No bitterness, no frills, no IPA, just beer-flavored beer. Find local retailers who sell garage beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com.
Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's Nick Padone with my friends at Northeast Factory Direct. Whether you're remodeling your kitchen, updating that furniture, freshening up your patio, looking for a brand new mattress, Northeast Factory Direct is the place for you. There's no fancy showrooms, no high-pressure salespeople, just great items at great prices. Gets even better for our listeners when you're at Northeast Factory Direct and you're getting ready to check out. Ask for that extra special Big Play bonus. They are going to keep the victory vibes alive at Northeast Factory Direct. Even when the Browns aren't coming off a win, you could ask for that Big Play bonus anytime and you'll get an extra special discount on all of their great items. So visit them today. Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton. Check them out online. NortheastFactoryDirect.com.
All right, gang, it is time for our fill in the blank. The new Cavalier I'm most excited about this season.
Lonzo Ball. I think he adds a new element to this team. I really liked Isaac Okoro. You know, he was a great defensive player. Lonzo Ball can play a little defense, then on offense, Nick. I'm just mesmerized, even from what I've seen in the preseason, the way he's passing the ball, the way he gets others involved, the way he can shoot. Offensively, he just adds so much more to this team. I'm excited to see what he's going to do this season.
Yeah, you know, and like
as long as he can stay healthy.
Kobe Altman went into the offseason and said they were going to get better on the margins. They weren't going to make any dust-ups. Like, this is what that means. When the Boston Celtics 2 years ago won an NBA title, they didn't overhaul their entire team. They traded for Kristaps Porzingis, who was pretty much written off at that point in his career, as well as Drew Holiday. Like, this is that kind of move. Last year, when the Oklahoma City Thunder won the title, they kept Chet, they kept SGA, they added Alex Caruso. So, like, Lonzo Ball should be a big thing for Cavs fans to be excited about, because that playmaking still exists, the scoring can still exist, and even be upgraded from what you had against Okoro, but you're not going to lose anything defensively. So I think this was a great addition, and I really think that, like, him entering a winning culture will do really good things. Like, he played, you know, with that Lakers team that had just lost Kobe Bryant, and then he spent time with, like, the Bulls and the Hornets. So, like, he's never really had an opportunity to do much in the NBA because he's always been on these bottom feeder teams, but that's not his fault. That's not who he is. He'll elevate this roster.
I'm looking forward to Tyrese Proctor, you guys. I don't know how many minutes he'll actually see, but he was really impressive in the preseason, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. His time at Duke, I lost where it was, but one of the more stunning things about his career was he really continued to develop there and become a proficient scorer and playmaker. So I'm just excited to see him however many minutes he gets. The Cavs beat the Knicks in this season opener if...
Well, we're going to talk about this all season. You know, what does the regular season really mean to this Cavs team? It means growth. That's about it. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm not as concerned about a win or a loss here. I want to see how this team looks when they're at Madison Square Garden. I don't want the lights to be too bright for them, whether it's a regular season game. This is going to be on national TV, right? You're going to have a lot of eyeballs on this thing, and you've got a New York Knicks team that thinks that they're going somewhere. And when you get New York behind their basketball team, that is a different feeling. So you're going into that come Wednesday. I want to see how we react. Even though it's a regular season game, I want to see how this new core, how this new organization with the elements that we've added with Lonzo Ball, the Larry Nance, how they work into it and how we're able to react on the big stage.
Yeah, that's really what this is all about. Like, whether you beat New York, whether you don't, to me, it doesn't really matter. Same thing with, like, these new Cavs, because I think that's what people are going to be kind of hyper fixated on to start this season. You don't need Lonzo Ball, Thomas Bryant, Larry Nance Jr. to be better than Isaac Okoro and Ty Jerome. You don't. Like, if Ty Jerome lights it up for Memphis, great. You need Lonzo Ball to be better than what those guys were in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, Ty Jerome was absolutely unwatchable. Isaac Okoro was a black hole offensively. You need Lonzo Ball, Larry Nance to be an upgrade from those guys in April. The rest of it doesn't really matter a whole lot.
Austin Hedges re-signing with the Guardians, that 1-year, $4 million deal. A little bit of hot takes circulating on X. What do you think?
People were mad about this, Chris.
Friend of show, Austin Hedges.
Friend of
he
show.
was in here. Great guy. Just a lot of fun in here. He's a lot of fun in the clubhouse. I know he keeps things loose. He was great with the young pitchers, specifically Gavin Williams last year. So there's a lot of positives around this guy. Sure, you don't see it in the stat box, right? He's not a guy who's hitting right now, but he is good with our young pitchers. It makes sense to invest in him, but I still want to see us bring in some bats, all right? Bring in a few bats in this offseason. I'm still calling on the front office. You can have all the Austin Hedges you want, but we still need to get some bats in here as well.
Yeah, you know, I don't mind this. Like, people were so mad about this. I don't really mind it because I really think that culture in sports matters. We've spent so much time over the last couple of weeks complaining about the Browns, talking about that they're absent leadership. So if you're going to tell me that $4 million could help this team get closer to the playoffs, sign me up. If that's what Austin Hedges brings, sign me up for it. But this can't be the only move. If this is the only move, like kind of what it was last offseason, then you're going to have some people that are really upset when the team ultimately can't hit. But really, you're not going to see me getting hot and bothered about Austin Hedges getting paid $4 million to be a glorified cheerleader, because if that's what this team needs to continually make October, then cheerlead away Austin Hedges and welcome on back. I'm all for it.
To his credit, I think it's slightly more than just the cheerleading. It's a lot about his defensive prowess. He's always recognized as one of the best defensive catchers in the league, consistently ranking high in metrics like the catcher framing runs and so many other things that I never knew existed until we interviewed him for our show. So I think that's another thing people forget, is how he's really calling the games and his framing abilities. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show as we continue our Fill in the Blank segment, brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Ohio State won't be tested until...
I'd love to say the playoffs, but you got Michigan at the end, and you still got to think about that. You got to get that Michigan monkey off your back. Nick, I'm going to read the remaining schedule here. Is there anything that really scares you? Penn State. They're coming off of a bye on top of that. James Franklin gone, which actually could be a good thing for Penn State, but I don't think Penn State's going to be an issue. At Purdue.
Nope.
UCLA at home.
Hot shot offensive coordinator, but outside of that, nope.
Rutgers.
Nope.
And then that Michigan game, you're at the big house this year. That's the one that concerns me. You get past that, then it's all about the playoffs. And hey, it's been all about the playoffs for this team anyway. This team has been an absolute wagon this year. Not only are they beating the teams they're supposed to beat, they have beat the spread in every single game, including on Saturday against Wisconsin. So I anticipate them to continue to do that, to be the premier team in the national conversation. And going into the playoffs, we should be the number one seed. And I expect us to just continue this momentum, Nick.
You would look at Michigan football, too. Like, this is not the same Wolverines that's gotten the best of you over the last 4 years. Like, there were some real conversations about Sharon Moore and his job security, going into this offseason. I think he's been able to save that. I don't think he's in jeopardy of losing his job or anything, but they've gotten some bumps in this college football season already. So you should be able to roll through the rest of this regular season schedule and be rested and kind of even healthy to go into the college football playoff. Imagine a world, Chris, where you're able to defend the national title, a national title that there were some people nationally trying to poke holes through because you didn't win the Big Ten championship, you didn't beat Michigan. The way to shut all those people up once and for all would be to run the table through the Big Ten championship, through the national championship, and defend that thing, and the haters would have nothing left to say.
And there's always talk about a hangover after you have a big championship. No hangover for this team. Credit to Ryan Day. I gave him a lot of heat this time last year after he couldn't beat Michigan. Look at what he's done since then, not only winning that championship, but also this year.
Well, I think another piece of that, too, is that it's all new players. Like, they had championship hangover. Everybody played in the championships in the National Football League, so now you're getting it done with an entirely different cast. It's a completely different backfield. It's obviously a different quarterback who is separating himself as one of the best in football.
Julian Sayin looks
dare
fantastic.
I say, the Heisman front-runner at this point. Julian Sayin's been phenomenal, and then you've unlocked your receiving duo with Jeremiah Smith.
Tate has looked fabulous out there. Everybody was talking about Jeremiah Smith coming into the season. Now you see Carnell Tate, and Julian Sayin has just been electric. I mean, he went up there to Wisconsin and just lit them up. I know Wisconsin's not very good. He keeps this up, though. We're talking Heisman for Julian Sayin, no doubt about it.
All right, Joe Flacco might have just saved the Bengals season after taking down the highest paid defense in the league with that Steelers win. Joe Flacco looking good for the Bengals is...
I think it's fun. I think it's a good story. I like Joe Flacco. There's a lot of people in Cleveland who like Joe Flacco, for what he did here. It's amazing to see what happens when you give him good wide receivers and a little bit of protection, what he can do. And he certainly picked apart Pittsburgh, looked very good. Now, that's one game, right? We'll see what he does the rest of the season. But he certainly still seems to have that ageless arm and still can sling it out there, Nick.
Chris, I'll be honest, I was sick. I like Thursday Night Football, he lights up the Steelers like that. I'm watching the game downstairs with Cam. Game ends. She's been sleeping for the entire second half. I literally shut shut off the TV, and I sat there and I stared at the blank wall for like a psychopath. For what felt like 15 minutes, I just literally sat there in silence, dumbfounded, because why didn't it look as effortless here? I get that they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and that offensive line is better than what we have, but he's been there for 10 days, and he's able to turn back the clock like that. You saw him scrambling for first downs in the fourth quarter, 13-yard rushing attempts. I'm like, what? Where was this in Cleveland? I was completely sick when I saw him light up the Steelers like that. Those same Steelers that had just punked the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, man. We got to take a quick break, but before we do, another thanks to our friends at Northeast Factory Direct. You can check them out at any of their great locations in Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, or North Canton. And don't forget to ask them about the Big Play bonus. We'll be back right after this.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows, energy-efficient products at an affordable price. Visit smartchoicewindows.com today.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. This Smart Choice segment is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. Right now at Smart Choice Windows, you can get 50% off all windows during our limited time promotion. Plus, take advantage of their special financing with no money down and no interest until 2027. If you're looking to upgrade your whole exterior, Smart Choice Windows is also offering $1,500 off siding for your entire home and $500 off entry door installation to boost your curb appeal. And remember that every project starts with a free, no-pressure estimate, so you can give them a call at 844-GET-SMART or visit smartchoicewindows.com and make sure to ask about the Big Play bonus to get an additional 10% off all promotions. We're going to give you the scenario. You tell me what the smart choice would be. The Cavs announced the return of those, spiffy, old-school Navy unis last week. The Browns they're 2-0 in those Alpha Dogs uniforms. If you had to pick the current best jersey uniform in Cleveland sports right now, the smart choice is?
I've always liked the Browns' traditional look. Traditional helmet, the brown top, and then the orange pants. That's my favorite. But right now, the guards and those City Connects, I've always liked, since we've rolled those out, and maybe it's because we've won in those darn things, I have loved those jerseys, and I love those combinations we roll out.
I think you're starting to see a little bit of a trend, too, because those are so popular. They're navy. It has CLE on the front. These Cavs new uniforms got such a great response. It's got Cleveland on the front. Like, I think people like representing the city. Maybe some more teams should put energy into that. I'm with you. I like the Guardians City Connect, probably the best of everything that we've got here right now. But these Cavs ones are, bring back so much nostalgia from LeBron's first time here. It's going to be difficult for any other uniform that the Cavs are to unveil this year or in the future to match that. Like, that's just a timeless look.
Yeah.
You don't want the brain trust over there in Berea, though, to hear about putting Cleveland on the front of the jerseys. We did that before. I didn't like those. I didn't like what we did on the pants. I didn't like what we did on the jerseys. Do not touch those bad boys.
I'll never forget going into that. Everybody was like, it's going to have an Oregon Ducks feel. And we're like, okay, that's actually, that'd be cool. Like, right. Oregon Ducks, like, that's, you talk about uniforms in any level, like, they're at the top of the game. And then they unveiled those, and everybody was like, oh, good grief. Oh. These are rough. I will say, I've said this for years, and I don't know when the time would be right. It'll be decades and decades down the line. They'll bring those back as throwbacks, and people like them.
Buy them.
People like them. They'll bring those back as throwbacks 20 years from now, and kids will think that it's cool.
I think it's really hard to beat the Cavs City Edition Baby Blues for me. Those are my favorite. And then second would be the City Connect from the guards. Outside of the nostalgia of this latest reveal for the Cavs uniform, I never really liked that one. But
really?
No, just the ensemble. I never really. Navy blue doesn't feel as fierce to me.
The checkering along the sides.
Yeah, it's cool, and it is nostalgic, and for that, it gets all its bonus points for me. But on pure aesthetics alone, it didn't really do as much for me. All right, if you had to pick one team in the East that concerns you the most, the smart choice would be.
It's going to be the Knicks. It's got to be the Knicks. Orlando does scare me a little bit. I hate Wagner. He drives me nuts down there, but. Really, you look at this East, and it's going to be the Cavs, it's going to be the Knicks, and maybe somebody else. The West is absolutely brutal out that way. But in the East, it's just going to be us and the Knicks, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday.
Yeah, and out West, how brutal it's going to be because Houston just threw Kevin Durant like a 2-year, $90 million deal. So they're trying to make sure their window is as open as it possibly can be. Oklahoma City is going to be really good out there. I mean, we said last year that this should all come down to Cavs Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's what we were saying all year long, and ultimately that didn't happen. This
Injuries
year,
happen.
It's got to be that simple, though. It's got to be Cavs Knicks. It's got to be Cavs Magic. I don't care who they're playing, but it's got to be Cavs somebody else in the conference finals, and I think it'll probably be New York or Orlando.
Guys, Ohio State has an embarrassment of riches this season. If you had to pick the most important Buckeye right now, the smart choice is.
It's Julian saying. It's that continuity at quarterback, being able to count on that, being able to unlock the rest of the offense. This defense has been absolutely fantastic. Matt Patricia is just killing it. I mean, he has got everybody else in college football playing catch up right now. It's amazing. But I think from the offensive side, you've got to have a good quarterback who could play consistently. Julian Sayin has been that and more.
Especially because, like, if this team has one Achilles heel, it would probably be the run game. So the fact that he's able to overcome that and he's gotten Jeremiah Smith, but also Carnell Tate involved, it's been phenomenal. I'm not going against Chris's answer because I think Julian Sain's really good. I think he's putting together a Heisman campaign. I think he deserves to be one of those 3 finalists standing. But just to say something a little bit different, I'll give some love to Carnell Tate. He has been so awesome to watch. If he found his way down this, up 71,
A lot of people calling for it.
I would have no complaints come April if he found his way up 71. No complaints here.
And also credit to him. You know, everybody knew how good he was coming into the year, but all the talk was on Jeremiah Smith, and we understand why. He has really come into his own on a national stage now. I think people are really realizing what a special guy he is there in Columbus. And like you said, I wouldn't mind if the Browns took a flyer. It wouldn't even be a flyer. He's going to be at the top of the draft. I wouldn't mind bringing in a guy like that into this wide receiver room, especially knowing the troubles that we've had.
This segment also brought to you by Smart Choice Baths. It's the perfect time to remodel your bathroom, and right now, Smart Choice Baths is giving you $1,250 off your bathroom projects, plus a free luxury upgrade to add comfort and style. And just for Big Play watchers, you'll save an additional 10% on your project. So don't wait. Visit them at smartchoicebaths.com or give them a call at 844-GET-SMART to schedule your free consultation today. Smart Choice Baths, where luxury meets affordability. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing, and same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com today.
Our big play bets on the Big Play Cleveland Show presented by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet. You bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You could build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season, it's here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/BigPlay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. You got to be 21 plus and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Okay, guys, Browns in Foxborough this week. They are 7-point underdogs. Do you expect them to keep it close?
Part of the Mike Vrabel revenge tour here. He played Tennessee last week. Of course, he was a consultant for the Browns before the Browns decided they were going to keep Kevin Stefanski, not offer anything, not even talk to Mike Vrabel about staying on here in Cleveland. I think we come in a little fat in this one after winning a game, looking ahead to the bye. So I think I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think that the Patriots are going to blow us out in this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a coach and quarterback league. They've got Mike Vrabel. They've got Drake May, who's playing like one of the premium young quarterbacks in the league. You've got Kevin Stefanski, who's still trying to prove that he deserves to be a head coach in the National Football League, and Dylan Gabriel, who's in the bottom fourth of quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'm going to go with the Patriots to cover this 6.5, 7, whatever it'll end up being.
And then we'll be going into the bye, talking about our coaching, talking about all our problems once again for 2 weeks.
I think the Browns are going to get their first road win. I really do. They're coming off this momentum, and New England's 3 of their 5 wins were by 6 or fewer. Okay, and they're only 1-2 at home. So they're 4-0 on the road. I like my chances for the Browns. I had the positivity last week. It all panned out. Yep. I'm feeling like good things are going to happen. First road win for your Brownies. The over-under is 40.5 total points. Do you trust the Browns to score over 20 once again?
I honestly don't. You look at that game from yesterday on paper and just the number of things that we didn't do particularly well, and even the things that we were hanging our hats on today, like the running game, wasn't all that good. That was still below average for an NFL team. We certainly can't pass the ball. Defense still looked good. I mean, if we create some turnovers, then maybe you have a shot there. Give us some short fields on offense, I'd feel a lot better. But absent that, Nick, we're going to struggle to score 20.
Yeah, Patriots have a top 10 defense. It's not as good as ours. It's really not. Like, you should be able to score a little bit on this defense, but I don't see it happening. Like, until Dylan Gabriel becomes a threat to do anything with his arm. And I feel so bad, like, disparaging the kid. I really do, because he's proven that he could keep the car on the road. He looks like a very capable backup quarterback that you would want around the team for a really long time. So I hate, like, continually just ripping apart his game. But unless he's a threat to do anything further than 10 yards down the field, you're not going to have much of a chance to score 20 unless the defense does what they did. But again, Drake May is playing so well that it's just not going to happen against the Patriots.
How about a chance to score at least some touchdowns? Let's pick an anytime touchdown scorer for the Browns this Sunday.
Can I manifest this to happen?
Yes.
Go Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy shows up, catches a touchdown. Let's go, Jerry Jeudy.
We've only been trying to manifest this for weeks.
Donation. FanDuel, thanks you both for your support. I will be betting
our
on
wide receiver one.
Judkins.
Can I ask for our wide receiver one to get in the end zone, please, Nick?
Hey, just a final plug before we wrap up our show here. The Top Dog is barking again every Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can get a full breakdown of everything Cleveland Browns with Hanford Dixon, Josh Cribbs, and Phil Taylor. Catch it live on X, YouTube, or the Big Play app. That's the Top Dogs show, only on the Big Play Sports Network. We'll see you next week.
Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland show. We are keeping the victory vibes alive with our colleague check-in every single week. We bring on Ty Dillon. He races the number 10 racing Chevy for Matt Colleague, Northeast Ohio's own NASCAR owner. He's got 2 teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. Ty, thanks so much for joining us fresh off Talladega. Your Panthers got a win on the gridiron. Our Browns got a win. And it was ultimately an all right racing weekend for you guys too. So good things to chat about all around.
Yeah, it was a solid weekend for us. Our Grizzly nicotine pouch Chevy, we brought it home safe at Talladega, which is not always easy to say. We got a top 20, which is another good kind of notch in our hat on the year. You obviously want to be able to get more at the end of the race at Talladega, but it kind of becomes a rolling parking lot. And if you're not in the first 2 rows across the board there up front, you're not going to have a great shot at doing much but getting yourself into a crash. But look back at it, it was a solid day for us. We were able to get inside the top 10 and run up there for a lot of the day. I don't think our speed was as strong as it's been at some of the other super speedway races, but we put a solid performance out there. I was working with a new spotter this weekend up on the roof, Frank Denny, who's been spotting for my teammate AJ Allmendinger all year. So it was a good weekend for him and I to work together and kind of build some continuity.
Ty, talk to me a little bit about the mindset, because like my understanding Talladega, like you guys go win and the game plan is like avoid the big crash, avoid the big wreck. So like how do you compartmentalize avoiding chaos, but at the same time finding a way to run in the top 10 and the top 20 throughout most of the race?
Yeah, our goal as a team is always try to put ourselves at the front of the race and try to lead or be in the front of some kind of line to be in front of the chaos and in front of where the origin of the crash usually happens. It takes a lot of good strategy and execution in a fast race car to keep yourself up there. We've been able to do that a lot this year. We struggled this weekend in Talladega to keep ourselves in the very front of it. And then at the end of the race, we kind of just got stuck in that mid-pack quagmire of being kind of stuck. But you make these agreements with yourself throughout the race of like, do I stick my nose in a place to get myself to 15th, where your chances of getting crashed are about 80%, 90%, or do you try to miss the crash and then hope that you get another restart and you can actually have a chance to win the race? And sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. I think that's the biggest gamble that we have in racing, is when we come down to these super speedways, is how you approach the end of the race. It makes it a whole lot easier if you're leading one of the first two rows to just be committed and go for the win. But if you don't have the execution, you're not in the right spot, you got to make that decision to yourself and kind of gamble on what's going to happen on the last 2 laps.
All right, man. I don't know if you even know this, but I've got a little bit of a stat here about you. So with your laps led at Talladega this past weekend, you led laps at all of the super speedway races this season. That's got to be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's an awesome thing to look back at and say and pride myself at being strong at the super speedway races. I feel like it's been a good opportunity for me my whole career. I have a lot of confidence in doing so. And yeah, that's one of those things you'll look back and it doesn't have a whole bunch of impact on me currently. You know, we're so focused on the next week and what you got going on, but there'll be a day I'm sure I'll look back at my career and tell my kids about that and have a little bit of smile about it. So it's cool. It's good for our team. It's been good for our sponsors, and love that we have that in our quiver from going forward.
You mentioned the kiddos. Straight ahead, you guys are back at Martinsville. I know that one's a little bit closer to home for you. What you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, just a pretty simple 2-hour drive from the house this weekend. We were really strong at Martinsville earlier this year, and I think we're going to have a good shot at hopefully qualifying good. That's going to be important, starting in a good spot to start that race at Martinsville. I love that racetrack. It's a very fun one. It's physical. It's going to be exciting for all the fans. A lot of bumping and banging. It's a really short, tight racetrack. Call it the paperclip, and it's literally half-mile paperclip shape, and which creates a lot of chaos, a lot of frustration, and a lot of excitement throughout the race. So if we can have a fast car, go execute the weekend, I think we're going to have a really strong outing.
Ty, your Panthers, second place in the NFC South right now. Can they hold on?
It's the first time we've been above 500 in like 7 years or something crazy like that. So I think we're kind of having a celebration over that. You know, we didn't totally dominate the Jets, but we won, and we're not here to, as a franchise yet, to be mad about any kind of size of win. We just want wins. So it's a really cool feeling. The last couple weeks, checking my phone after the race, just like hoping and praying that we ended up getting the wins has been kind of nerve wracking, but they're coming together. Bryce Young's got a little bit of an ankle injury. Hopefully we'll see what happens. I think we have the Bills coming up, so that's going to be a tough one. I'm not really looking forward to opening my phone after the Martinsville race and seeing what the score is, but I have faith in the guys. You never know. We've been really strong at home.
Yeah, anything can happen. It's the National Football League. Anything can happen. Martinsville as well. So go follow him on socials at Ty Dillon. You could keep in touch with everything that he's doing on social media as well by following Colleague Racing on X and Instagram. Ty, thanks so much for popping on again, and looking forward to doing it again next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
We'll be right back.